it's a pleasure for me to introduce to you an extremely talented percussionist, considered one of the leading Afro-Latino musicians in the world, 5 times Grammy nominated, and U.S. Artist Fontanals Fellow, John Santos. Welcome to DC Live Music, John.
Thank you very much, Laura. It's nice to be here.
Why don't you talk to us a little bit about Filosofia Caribeña, and specifically, what can people expect from this album?
Filosofia Caribeña is actually a project that's been ongoing for about 1.5 years. We received some very special funding from a couple of organizations, the East Bay Community Foundation in Oakland, California, where I live, also from the National Association of Latino Arts and Culture, and from the Ford Foundation. And there was a matching grant that was given to us by the East Bay Community Foundation, meaning we had to go to our supporters who go to our concerts and who buy CDs and ask them to make the match for us to be able to take advantage of that money. So we did that. It was a little bit awkward to ask people for money, but people really responded and supported the project. So we were able to collaborate with some of our colleagues from Puerto Rico, from New York, from Los Angeles, and we used poets, singers, choreographer and dancers, Cubanos and Puerto Ricans, like I mentioned, and some Black American artists as well. And we really had a nice mixture. Filosofia Caribeña is all about the Creole Caribbean heart of the Americas and how it represents our culture, and it really represents the Americas better than anything else. It's really, even though our history is violent in the Americas with colonialism and slavery and genocide of indigenous peoples, we very much want to acknowledge that history, but move forward and say, look, we're raza trigueña, and we're mixed blood, and we want to lead the way in saying we need to unify working class people, people of conscience, and the music and the art is one of the most powerful ways to do that. We bring together the poetry, the dance, the music, and with a message of unity among the Black and Latino community and among the entire Pan-American community.
Has a tremendous career. He has done everything, I think, in the music field, and he is president and founder of Machete Records since 1984, and he also is president and founder of Guataca Music Publishing since 1991. My question is, what motivated you to open your own record label, and wasn't it risky at the time?
I had, like every musician, dreams of getting a record deal. And when we got our first record deal in 1981 with a company from the San Francisco Bay Area, it was a disaster and it was a mess, a fiasco, and it was a terrible experience. So I learned immediately that I didn't want to do that. If I wanted to put our music out, since our music is not commercial music, not considered to be commercial music by the industry, then I knew we had to do it ourselves. So I formed my own publishing company. I formed a record label in order to put our music out, and that's all I do. I put my own music and our own music out, as opposed to signing other artists. It's not something that I could do. I formed it for the specific purpose of getting our music out and getting rid of all the middlemen that are always in between, taking advantage. So now it's more direct between people who want our music and between the artists, which is the way it should be, without millions of people in between.
What are the qualities that a good band director should have? Because that's key.
It's an interesting question. I think a band leader has to have some communication skills, probably almost more importantly than musical skills. But I mean, of course, if you have both, it's the best, because you have to be able to communicate really clearly with people, and everybody isn't the same. You have to deal with people in different ways in terms of how you speak to them, or when you speak to them, or what you say to them, and there's just a different dynamic between people in communicating. So you have to be able to make people feel comfortable, feel at home, feel inspired, and want to give also, because as a band leader you give, and it's a lot of work, especially, and I think in any kind of a band, it's a great deal of work, and you really give, and you give, and you give, and you give, and you want your band members to also recognize that and give also, so that everybody's contributing. So you have to be able to inspire them, and I think it has to do with how you deal with people. You have to be upfront, honest. Some band leaders make the mistake of, I think, trying to pull stuff behind the back of the musicians, and that never works out well, and that always will backfire on a band leader. So, I learned that early also, just from my own experience with different bands. And I always try to be very upfront and honest and clear with the guys. And also, you have to have a good business sense. You have to be able to negotiate. You have to be able to deal with crisis, and you have to have those skills, social skills, I think, to be a good band leader, aside from musical skills.
Also part of the Latin Jazz Advisory Committee of the Smithsonian Institution for almost 4 years too, until 2002, from 1999 to 2002. What did you learn from this experience?
That was around a project called Latin Jazz, The Perfect Combination, and it was a beautiful project. I'm very honored to have been asked to work on it, and we had a committee of wonderful artists and composers and people in the business from coast to coast. And we would meet here, and we made some suggestions and consultants for a book, a coffee table book that was made, as well as contributing to the book some things, and also a recording, like a sampler recording compilation to give demonstration of Latin jazz. The thing about it was that it didn't go exactly as we all hoped. We all put a lot of input in, and in the end, it's hard when you have a committee of 21 strong people who really know a lot about their respective aspects of the field. Then it's not always easy to get everybody to agree on everything. So, some things happened that I thought were not the best, but overall it was wonderful that the project happened. The book is beautiful. The CD is beautiful.
What is the name of the book?
It's the same name. It's called Latin Jazz, The Perfect Combination. Beautiful book. There was a mistake though made on the book. This is one of the things, for example, I'll expose. On the cover, there's a picture of somebody's black hands on a conga drum. Beautiful photo. It shows the drum, the hands, and it shows like the legs. I hear it's like a shot like this, so you don't see the face or nothing. You see only the hands. And on the inside cover, it was identified as the hands of Mongo Santa Maria by a great photographer. And I am a student of Mongo and of the drum and those great drummers, and I know Mongo's hands, and those were not Mongo's hands. So as soon as I saw that, I called. I said, "Hey, those are not Mongo's hands." He goes, "What?" I go, "No, those are the hands of my padrino, Francisco Aguabella." Without a doubt, 100%. He said, "Oh, let me check into it." So he called the photographer, who was a well-known jazz photographer, and he said, "Hey, somebody said that those are not Mongo." He says, "No, those are Mongo's hands. I took the picture myself." No. He made an error. It was un americano, and he made a mistake, and it stayed on there like that. I mean, it was too late because it was already published, but they continued. I don't know if there's been any subsequent pressings, but they did not correct it. So that's one small thing.
Music professors that have contacted me, they asked me to ask you, how can they engage young people into learning more or having more interest in Latin music?
I think it's relatively simple on one hand. On the other hand, maybe not so simple, but the way to do it is to expose them, of course. You have to expose them to it. But you have to know, of course, what the hip music is to show them. But there's a lot of it out there. There's so much. It's easy to get now. Everything's been issued, digitally and on CDs. So you have to show them the important role of Cuban music, of Caribbean culture in jazz in the United States, teach them the basic rhythms that are common in New Orleans and in the Caribbean, like the rhythm of the clave, and show the connection to the music that the kids love, like hip hop. All the kids love hip hop. Doesn't matter, the black kids, the Latinos, the white kids, the Asian kids, they all love hip hop. So as soon as you show them that, there's a strong connection, African connection to hip hop that comes through the Caribbean, that comes through the rhythm of the clave. And they're like, what are you talking about? So they go into that thing, and that's the basis of their music, and that's the basis of our music too. So there's a strong relationship, and when they start, opening their eyes to that, then you can show them, listen to the sound of the cajon, for example. And the cajon, as you know very well, being Peruana, the cajon is a tradition in Afro-Peruvian music, also in Afro-Cuban music. And the cajon also has that sound of the beatbox, the low sound, and the cha, you could play hip hop as well as play un lando, un festejo, or something típico. So there's connections that you have to show them, and show them that hip hop comes out of funk, and the funk comes out of rhythm and blues, and the rhythm and blues comes from New Orleans, and there's a relationship to jazz, and the rhythm and blues is based on clave. So there's a lot of connections. And you just have to inform yourself, and it's certainly possible if you just ask. There's a Latin jazz e-group out there. There are a lot of publications, a lot of things.
That or objective that has guided all your work throughout these years?
I think so, and really it can be described as the name of our new record, Filosofia Caribeña, because the Filosofia Caribeña is this inclusive criollo perspective that says, we're trigueña, we're trigueñas, we're trigueños. The message is always a message of unity, a message of that, working class people that come from working neighborhoods, laboral, del barrio, doesn't matter if it's American in the United States or in Latin America, we have the same concerns, the same preocupaciones, and the same things we want for our family, for our kid. We want simple human rights. Human rights of education, healthcare, all the things that we should have in the United States that are being destroyed by this crazy, out of control capitalism, that we're dealing with. So that's always been our message: is that the music is part of a movement, and it's part of a cultural expression, and it's part of una lucha. Like it's a battle, it's a struggle, and the art and the music is one of our most powerful tools to let people know and to document our own history and to be able to speak for ourselves and let people know what our experience is and unite us against these kind of forces that say that the dollar is more important than the dignity of everybody. My name is John Santos, and I want to encourage you to continue to support dclivemusic.com. Wonderful, wonderful supporting of live music and of nuestra cultura and of all these important things.